We gon' run it, hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North Talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock 'em out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North Talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North Talk.
Welcome to another edition of ASC North Talk. Here we are. Man, the division 1 week to another, and it went crazy. Let's get it. Let's get it quick here. 2 super chats, and then we're gonna transition to the Browns. The 188 says, "It's time to panic in Cleveland." A real question. LOL. That's in the description. And then he says also, all Browns are back. When did they leave? 2 winning seasons in the last 16 years. Only Q will frame his team in this way. LOL. By the way, I will say
can't beat us in Cleveland and still haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Steeler fan, so don't get too high in your bridges. You're about to start Russell Wilson. All right, let's hey, you know, you can dunk on me, but don't forget you're about to start Russ. And you haven't won a playoff game since Russ was good.
I hate this team so goddamn much.
Okay, we'll transition to the.
By the way, why does Sonny look like Ravens Jesus right now with all that all white gear?
Quick transition, like you transition during the intro.
Dude, my wife just got here. I was like, baby, let me put stuff up.
Straight hoodie and hat on quickly.
You look like you're coming straight from Nazareth. It's so bright. Goodness.
I'm gonna tell you this. Let's start with this. The Browns and the Browns. We can talk about the quick game real quick because I was watching it was out on the same time with the Ravens because they were in the same time on both channels, right? And I'm watching this game like, my God, this game is like an awful watch. Like if the Eagles, I have some Eagles fans that I work with, and they're like, man, we're not good. We barely can beat the Browns. And I was like, yeah, this game wasn't good. It was not good. The defense held Barkley, right? We talk about that. But if we take that part out and then we talk about the comments that Stefanski made about sticking with Watson, and I'm like, wait, Stefanski, you're really going to stick with Watson? Because at this point, then you're saying, and I think he said something that he was better than when we have on the bench or something like that.
He said he gives us the best chance to win.
And I was like, wait, dude, but what would you, because for me, Q, what that tells me is 2 things. One, if you somehow bench Watson and then Jameis plays better, you look like an idiot now. Right? And then if you keep Watson and keep losing, you also look like an idiot. And so what are you, I was shocked. Those comments for me shocked me. And then now, in my opinion, they did the right thing. If they don't think they're gonna go anywhere, they traded Amari, right? And then other pieces should follow. Maybe Zadarius Smith and some of the older guys in the team or people in 1-year contracts. But Q, after watching this game and seeing the trades, what is your expectation of this team? Where are they going?
I think the Amari thing could have happened if they were even 500, right?
Okay.
Like with how Amari had been playing,
that's true.
Where Amari is in his contract, getting a 3rd-round pick for a guy on the way out that definitely was great. Not about to get you a 3rd comp, right? Like he wasn't going to get that kind of money in free agency. I don't even think you could, right? If his contract expires, you can't get. I don't know what the comp.
Yeah. If the contract expires and then he gets signed, you can potentially get up to a third, but that means that he was one of the highest paid and most performing the following year.
Yeah. So, I think the Amari thing is more of a reflection that they got the deal that they wanted, and it was good enough to send him out there. Also doing right by Amari because he clearly was miserable here. Then the last run sending him somewhere he has a chance to win. And with the quarterback who has a chance to actually hit him. Where do you guys want me to start? You know what I mean? Let's play a fun game. Where do I start? Do I start with the quarterback?
Sure.
Do I start with the quarterback? Do I start with the head coach's comments about the quarterback? Where do I start here?
The head coach for me is troubling because I feel like Stefanski is the building block and the core. Like I think the 180 was talking about when the old Browns left. The old Browns for me left when you start seeing a competent team drafting well and having young guys performing well, and they were missing the quarterback, right? And if you go back to quote unquote the old Browns, that's when then as a team you had to overpay for mediocre players.
Old Browns today were like hiring some random guy.
Exactly.
Coach, right?
Drafting bad players and all that.
And then firing GMs 2 years into developing those players and then giving up on those players 2 years in. Look, I know this cycle far too well. I just hope that the Browns avoid falling into that cycle again. Look, Deshaun Watson is a lost cause at quarterback because I'm gonna be honest with you, this is one of his good games. Like this is part of the game. This is one of the games that's going to be on the best part of his season, right? With 16 of 23, over 100 something yards. He didn't throw an interception. Yeah, this is the good day with Deshaun Watson. Like these are the games you have to win when he gives you the effort, because this is the good effort that he can give you because he's not capable of anything else. Yeah, did he miss David Njoku wide open in front of his face on a check release? Of course he did. He's not going to get to his check release. We might as well not even run it. Just keep David Njoku blocking. It's fucking pointless. He can't ever see it. He's a one-read quarterback. It's like we're running a rookie out there. And
do you recall on the Friday show? And I was like, I think that David Njoku might be open against these linebackers. You're like, yeah, but he ain't gonna hit him. Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, I gave him the credit of at least throwing it.
Yeah,
David Njoku. My bad. It doesn't matter. David could be open. He's not the first option on the play. Deshaun's only gonna throw it to the first option. And you know what? I watched this offense on film, and it's like, hey, they know it too. They're drawing up plays. It's like Deshaun, throw it here. Deshaun, throw here. Everything's telling you whether you should go yes or no here or run. We're literally running a offense for a rookie quarterback that we think is struggling. Like, not even like this ain't what you throw Spencer Rattler in, right? You at least let Spencer get to 2, right? Like, you at least let Spencer do that. We not even there with Deshaun. It's hopeless. He's not good. There's no hope that he's ever going to be good. I get that they want to do their due diligence and wait till the bye week to do something about this. But the longer you let this go on, the dumber you look and the more we're going to start asking questions. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, there's nothing interesting to break down about Deshaun Watson this week. Yeah, he sucks. He missed a wide open rail route for a touchdown. He missed a wide open David Njoku for a touchdown. This isn't anything new. This is what he's been doing the last 6 weeks of the season. Then we're getting to the point where I'm questioning, hey, what is the process that's letting you start him? Right? That is the bigger concern to me, because it's one thing to have a piece of shit playing quarterback for you. It's another thing for everybody to tell me that shit don't stink and then continue to put that shit out there. It's ruined. It's rotten. He's not good. There's nothing you could tell me. Anybody would be better than him that starts right now. Anybody. DTR could put together a better offense. Did I show you guys the split? The first 6 weeks with Deshaun Watson this year and PJ Walker and Dorian Thompson-Robinson from last year?
No, you haven't.
Oh, yeah. DTR and PJ Walker, they were minus 62 in expected points last year, which is an atrocious number until you realize that 2024 Deshaun Watson's minus 64. Oh, by the way, with first downs, I believe Deshaun Watson's offense this year, 2024, 15 first downs a game.
That's rough.
15. PJ Walker, DTR, they were at 18. And this is including a game in which DTR started with 2 hours of preparation.
The Ravens game.
Feel better. Versus that Ravens defense, by the way. Right? The one where Roquan was in shape. So that is where we're at with the Browns. Legitimately, they get less total yards. I think they had 280 total yards on offense when they had PJ Walker and DTR. Keep in mind, no Nick Chubb for those two. No tackles. Both the tackles were hurt when they played. Just injuries upon injuries on that team. 280 yards of total offense. We're getting 240 yards of total offense with Deshaun Watson right now, with a healthier offensive line, with a healthier personnel around him. 240 yards of total offense. Points scored, what we're averaging. We got what I think it was like 90 something points. It averaged out to like 16 points a game. But
Dude,
then I remember
so close. They were so close to scoring 20 this week. They were in the red zone, and then it all faded.
Yeah, but Jared, then I remember, Jared. Oh yeah, 14 of our points are defensive touchdowns.
Yeah,
so we actually averaged 13.5 points a game on offense. 13.5. Legitimately, if a team scores more than 13 points, we're fucked. There's nothing else you could say here other than like, yeah, you probably need to bench the quarterback. Telling me that dude gives us the best chance to win. You better hope Nick Chubb comes out there running his ass off, and then you pop off a couple magical wins here and get your foot back out of your mouth here. Make us forget that you said that shit, because that's just ridiculous. There's no world in which that guy gives you the best chance to win a football game. I know you don't believe it. I know the locker room doesn't believe it. Nobody watching this believes it. Nobody watching this with an advanced degree in football. We're talking about veteran players, guys who have been in the league a long time. They have their doctorate in football, right? Ryan Fitzpatrick, all these guys. They're looking at it like, hey, you got to do something about that. Have you heard a former player be like, nah, you got to continue to play Deshaun Watson? Nobody credible has that take. Nobody. He's just got to play through it. Nobody is saying that.
That very clear burner account that's either just a troll account at this point, or it's very clearly Deshaun Watson's burner account on Twitter. Is it Leroy Bickershaft or whatever the hell it's named?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's something funny. I know that as much. By the way, you brought up Spencer Rattler. Him and Deshaun have the exact same EPA per play for all quarterbacks who have played at least 50 plays.
Fun.
To let you know.
Fun. We could have drafted Spencer Rattler and upgraded at quarterback, because at least he got 3 touchdowns last
year. He did do that. So what bum means.
Fun stuff here, right? And yeah, it's getting to the point to where it's like, okay, yeah, Deshaun sucks. How much more mad can I be at Deshaun for sucking? I've already reached the fever pitch. I've gotten on here, did a 45-minute rant one time about how much he sucks. I can't talk about it anymore. He sucks. He's garbage. It's not going to change. We got to stop putting him out there.
Yeah.
And like, I know people are telling me, well, Jimmy's the one making him put him out there. Yeah, but I don't care. Do something.
But do you think it's Jimmy? Do you think it's Jimmy?
I don't think it's Jimmy. I don't think Jimmy is even watching the games right now. Jimmy, I haven't seen Jimmy in months.
You know why? Sorry to interrupt. You know why I don't think it's Jimmy? Because Stefanski has the cachet with the 2 coach of the year that if he comes and says, I'm going to put
Bro, Stefanski and Barry got Jimmy Haslam the okay getting rid of Baker Mayfield.
Exactly.
Like a dude that they invested in before they got there, who was the #1 overall pick, and like was a really big deal to Jimmy Haslam. Like, it was seen as one of his biggest successes at the time here. Like, the idea that he can't tell him, hey man, this thing is over with, everybody's blaming you for it, he can't do anything. No, I think this is just pure pride out of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. Because like, I know people try to tell me they didn't want anything to do with this trade. It's not true. Like, if you go back to 2020 and we're not thinking about the disaster Deshaun Watson was, they wanted that dude. That's who they wanted to play quarterback for him. They wanted that guy as a top 5 quarterback in Houston. They went after him, and it's blown up in their face. And the Baker Mayfield thing is happening at the same time. And MVP it's making them look like assholes. And the only way for them to not look like a giant asshole is for Deshaun Watson to play better. That's all this is about. They just want him to play better so they can feel less like an asshole. But it's over. You look like an asshole. They're going to lie about Baker Mayfield and you could have kept him and all that shit. They're going to act like the end of 2021 didn't happen. The narrative is set. I saw Fox do a story where we were living in a different timeline where Baker Mayfield was our quarterback, and we're like, ooh, Jolly G, we're gonna play in a big game, as if this fucking team didn't go 11-6 last year, right? Like that's what they're gonna push. It's just gonna be the narrative. You got to eat the egg on your face. You traded for one of the most unlikable quarterbacks at the most unlikable time to trade for him, and then you ate that bullet and you did it for nothing. Take the fucking L. Don't drag yourself down with this L, because what I'm seeing here is the same thing that happened with Baker Mayfield. Pride's going to get him out this city because Baker couldn't accept the fact that he was injured, and he couldn't accept the fact that he's not good when he's injured. And what did he do? He didn't get the surgery. He played ass while he was injured, and he got shipped out of town because of it. Because what else were we supposed to do? You were telling us you're healthy, and you're looking like this. What determination are we supposed to make? Give him the fucking 5th-year option? Bringing it back to Kevin now. You're telling us this is the quarterback that gives us the best chance to win. And we're about to go 1-15 with this dude at 16. My bad. 1-16 or 3 and whatever with single-digit wins after going 11 wins last year. And if you tell me with the straight face that this is the best you could do and that quarterback is the best option for this team, I'm going to have to come to the conclusion that you can't do it, because that's unacceptable. If that's the best guy for the job, and I have to take you at your word for that. Now I know it's all bullshit because we all have eyes, but come on here. Don't let this be another situation where we lose another talented person because they can't get out their fucking pride. Just accept it. Nobody wants this to continue anymore. You just had to trade Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper is thrilled to be out of it. He's talking about rust or move or whatever it is. Some kind of cryptic shit. I don't decipher it, but I'm pretty sure it means he's happy to be the fuck out of here. Right? Like, it is what it is. It is what it is with this team. But right now, if you're Kevin, you got to start thinking about credibility in your locker room. Yeah. And like Nick Chubb's coming back this week. So like, yeah, you might beat the Bengals on some fluke shit like we've done before, or you might get lucky here or there and just ride the coattails of Nick Chubb. But you got to get out of this Deshaun Watson thing before it starts costing you your credibility. Not with us. That could be repaired with like a couple good seasons. But we're really talking about the people in that locker room, because you got to like 8 guys under contract for the next 4 years that are going to be the leaders of this locker room when you get to the next part of whatever you're trying to get to. And if you don't have those guys aboard with you, then you're going to just be a lame duck, because you got to keep their trust. You got to keep them happy. So that's all with Kevin. Don't tie yourself to this turd. Take your pride out of it. He stinks. It is what it is. Nobody saw it coming. It was a lemon. If you get a good quarterback next year and you have a bunch of wins, people are going to be like, yeah, well, I mean, nobody expected Deshaun to be that bad. And then we're just going to move the fuck on from it. Like,
it's amazing what a winning season can make people forget.
It happened last year. like it's all it takes. And then we're talking about 3 11-win seasons in 4 years for the Cleveland Browns, which is truly unprecedented. So just let it go. That's all I got to say to the front office. They're involved with it. Their pride's making them continue this thing. Nobody wants to watch Deshaun Watson take another snap out there. And once the novelty of Nick Chubb being back wears off with this fan base during this 3-game home trip, you're going to get some of the nastiest home reactions you've ever seen a player get.
Yeah, that's right. Because you did say that he was not going to play this game because you didn't thought they were going to put him in the game at home.
I don't think he's going to want to play. Look, let's see how this game goes again. Like, Nick Chubb's coming back, so you're going to have energy from the sideline and everything else like that. But, like, once that wears out and you're playing like the Chargers, let's see where that energy goes, you know?
Jared, what do you think about this game or the Brown situation, to be honest?
Yeah, I mean, watching it was just a drag. There was a throw that Deshaun made downfield that Quinion Mitchum was about to like fair catch, and then CJ Gardner-Johnson collided with him and prevented the interception. So like Deshaun didn't throw one, but like he kind of threw one. He just got kind of bailed out by CJ Gardner-Johnson. Overall,
a ball that was too easy to intercept.
Overall, I mean, I didn't expect the Browns to go in and win this game. I think that I think told me a lot more about Philadelphia than anything, which I know, we're not an Eagles show, but like that's a team right now who has just an absolute clown at head coach who's like taunting the fans as the clock's winding down as if he just beat the 07 Patriots. He beat the effing Deshaun Watson led Browns, bro. Like, relax. So, Cleveland, man, like it's nothing that we haven't said for the past 6 weeks on the show, right? Where, the quarterback's the biggest problem. And until they address that, they're not going to win games. So it's been a lot of rinse and repeat. And it's going to stay that way because it doesn't look like they're going to make any sort of changes. Stefanski, like you pointed out, he said it after the game that Deshaun's going to keep starting, doubled down on it in his presser earlier this week, saying that, he gives us the best chance to win. It's just a big disaster at this point. A lot of fans are already looking forward to the draft at this point and hoping that they can get a quarterback. But it's a big pain in the butt. I feel for Browns fans. I feel for the Browns players. Like if I saw Mitchell Schwartz tweeted, like, think about like the offensive line who know that dude gives them 0% chance of winning. They got to go out there and block their asses off every game. Think about like Myles Garrett, who is still at the peak of his career, knowing that he doesn't have a shot to win games. Q, do you think there's a world where Myles Garrett would request a trade?
There might be, but like there's not a world where Myles Garrett requests a trade and then like they just say, hey, we're just going to keep Deshaun in the case of that. Like,
right.
The conversation, if Myles Garrett is starting to seem upset, then whatever is upsetting him gets done. Okay.
Fair enough. So, I mean, happy for Amari Cooper to get out of there. Now he's in Buffalo, and hopefully he does really good things with Josh Allen. But yeah, this team, it's a lot of rinse and repeat, man. A lot of the same stuff that we've been saying all season. Until they make a change at quarterback, nothing's going to change. They're going to have a very low ceiling and an even lower floor. We're seeing that play out.
Ace.
Free Myles Garrett. Of course, I'm with that. I'm just kidding.
I know why you're saying that.
You know exactly why. All of them years with Jonah. Yeah.
This is exactly why I was pushing for the Atlanta Falcons to trade for Lamar Jackson, because we know who hurt each other. Okay.
For sure. I mean, for the Browns, man, it's like they recently have made a lot of moves that have pushed them into the right direction, right? I think when I think about it, I think about them getting Baker Mayfield. Even though the OBJ thing didn't work out, right? It was kind of a new thing of like, okay, the Browns are doing something new. These moves are starting to work out for them. That one didn't work out as much, right? But they kind of became this team that kind of started to change the narrative, right? They started making some good moves in the front office, and then this Deshaun Watson one has just set them back. And it's a shame to see it because, well, obviously I'm a Bengals fan, so I'm not going to be ashamed. But if I'm a Browns fan, I'm ashamed to see it because there's a lot of talent on this team, right? Like we can keep it a buck about this Cleveland team. It's not for a lack of talent that they have there. They've drafted really well. They've brought in some good pieces there. However, Deshaun Watson has essentially undone that. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because Deshaun obviously has to be a guy that's going right, but does that also cost Stefanski his job? And with that, you talk about all kinds of makeovers. So it's going to be interesting to see how much they really try to stick by because the Browns in the past, they've always been like not shy about blowing stuff up, right? But Stefanski, I don't know if you can really blame him for this debacle because to me, it seems like it's clear that it's Deshaun. This game, I think it does say more about the Eagles, like Jared is saying, because this is the Browns team that's pretty much real in that, was looking to try to get a win. But, if you would have gotten up on them in this game, they probably would have just rolled over. But they stayed in the game. Like the Browns, we can talk about them not scoring an offensive touchdown and everything. But like Quincy said, Myles Garrett is almost willing this team to a victory. The defense is good. We know that. Now you got Amari Cooper out of there, who really was kind of detrimental to this team, more so than being productive, right? He hasn't really done anything, so now he's going. If they don't get up for this Bengals game, I don't know where this Browns team is headed. So for me, if I'm a Browns fan, I'm just right now trying to evaluate where we are, where we're moving forward, and what changes can occur to get this thing back on track like it was a few years ago.
The one thing on the game that I was surprised, Q, in that last field goal, right? They're there in the goal. I know there's a couple false starts, but I almost and I didn't like it when the Ravens went for it on the 20, but I almost wanted at that point to go for it because your offense, your chances of going back to the red zones if you're the Browns are very little. So you're there, you might as well go for it because a field goal doesn't do you anything. What are your thoughts when you saw them not going for it and kicking the field goal?
They thought that I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, the odds of them converting a 3rd and 20 right on the goal line to score 7 points, about the same odds, if not worse odds, of them like being able to get a defensive stop and then getting a field goal again or something. Like, I don't know, man. Like, they kicked the field goal. They can't throw the ball 15 plus yards downfield. The only reason I'm mad about the false start is because it made it so that they had to throw it in the red zone instead of being able to run it. And like at that point, you just have to recognize your team is so flawed offensively that you can't expect them to win a game because something like that you can't overcome. Like, you just can't overcome it. So, like, yeah, could I make this about a coaching decision here that Kevin Stefanski made that I wish he would have made differently? Yeah, I'm bet you there's some, but like this team's not competitive enough for me to seriously evaluate what Kevin's doing because like we're just basically asking Kevin to just do all the heavy lifting here and will this team to a win because he doesn't have a quarterback that can do that there. So this is another reason why I want Deshaun Watson benched. It's not just because I think the team would be better, even though I think it's obvious at this point. It's also like, hey, man, I need to evaluate the other shit on this team before we get to 2025, right? Like Ken Dorsey, like, should he stick around? Like, no clue what Ken Dorsey is or is not doing. I can only evaluate who's open and who's not, and if Deshaun's getting him the ball there. But, like, I got to see these problems at least be replicated by somebody else or not be replicated by somebody else. Like, you're holding yourself back. Even if the worry isn't that you're going to win a bunch of games this year and make the playoffs, if you're just talking about evaluating for next year, you got a bunch of first-year offensive coaches on this team for this. You got a bunch of first-year coaches that are first year on the Browns. I don't know if they're first year in the NFL. You got to evaluate them. How are you evaluating them right now? How can you evaluate what the wide receivers are doing right now? Like, you just can't right now. Because Deshaun is out there and he's so bad that he's a tangible and like viable excuse for anything going wrong on offense. You got to get somebody in here who could play better because I can't criticize play calling. I don't know if it's bad or good. Like, I just see Deshaun not getting the ball where it's supposed to be.
Okay, we have a couple of super chats here. The 188 says funny cue because it was Pittsburgh that closed the door on the Baker era with the sweep in 2021, paving the way for Deshaun. You're welcome. Hello.
We also closed the door on your last attempt to win a playoff game at home in front of 50 million people on Nielsen, according to Nielsen records.
Voldigard here says, Q. Serious question.
They're never
if they
trade
Miles, we'll have. They would definitely not trade it to the Ravens.
Who? Tell me right now. Like, think about this. Like all the way through. If you trade Miles, you're not trading him to a hopeless team. The Carolina Panthers are not trading for Miles.
Right. You're gonna trade her to like Detroit or something.
You think losing Myles Garrett is worth 3 30th first round picks? Like, there is no amount of first round picks you're allowed to trade that would be worth Myles Garrett.
3 first. I'll do it right now.
3 first? Yeah, sure. I bet you would. Hey, because getting Myles Garrett for the 28th, 26th, and 25th pick in the draft, that's not a bad deal for Baltimore. That's an awful fucking deal for Cleveland.
Can you imagine Cleveland had to see Myles twice a year?
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, you can throw in your second round picks too. It doesn't matter. There's not a trade that you could offer that's worth a dude like that. And that's just talking about the on the field aspect of it. We haven't even talked about like, hey, if you do want to rebuild, you probably want to make sure that you have people there who can kind of hold down some semblance of a culture. Miles is probably there for that, right? Like, there's a reason why Pittsburgh has hung on to all their players despite going through various parts of a rebuild in the last 6 years. So yeah, you keep these guys for a reason. You don't just sell every good player you have. You keep a core around. Now, you are having a yard sale right now. So like the guys that you brought in because you thought you were going to make a Super Bowl run, yeah, those guys can go, right? Like, Dalvin Tomlinson might go, Zadarius Smith might go. Maybe if somebody gets interested in Juan Thornhill, Greg Newsom's the extra part, you might be able to get him for the right price. But yeah, as far as like trading like Myles Garrett, no, you never trade Myles Garrett. There's just, think about it. Who's going to offer you anything that's remotely worth it? And then like a 30th first round pick in this year's draft, you might as well get a 3rd round pick in 2026.
The one, you guys as GM though, if it is Myles that requests to trade, don't you think he will honor it? Because he's got
that's what it. No, Myles, you are staying. Okay, what are you talking? We didn't even request that shit. We didn't honor that when David Njoku did that shit.
I'm just going off of what I saw Mary Kay said the other day. She was like, he does right by the players.
Yeah, we did right by David Njoku by not trading him. Right, like we don't trade dudes. Even Baker, like when he first requested a trade, we hung on for like 2 more months.
Yeah,
thinking like we weren't going to have to trade. Yeah, they're not going to trade somebody because they simply request it. That's not how the Browns operate. No, Myles can not show up for OTAs and mini camps or whatever, but then he's going to get a big ass fat contract and then he's going to be fine. He's not leaving. They're never going to trade Myles.
Bengal Steel here says, "It's okay, Sonny. Only quality teams beat the Raiders." You trying to dunk on me because the Steelers beat the Raiders. Okay,
hey,
good.
Russ is coming.
Okay, we're about to open that door soon.
It's like the shark in Jaws.
Yeah.
Hey, and fun fact, Russ moves about as fast as the shark in Jaws.
Hey, Jared, don't pick us to win again. This is from King. I want the same energy you had when we play Dallas, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. Lamar or Flacco over Big Ben.
All right, that last part's just stupid, but yeah, I mean, I'm obviously gonna.
Why do you add Flacco?
I don't know.
We could have had an actual conversation like with Lamar, but it's like
that's not remote.
Flacco got him a ring though.
Yeah.
I know. Here's the thing. I like Joe. Don't get me wrong. Like I got no hate against Joe Flacco or anything. I think it's crazy to say Lamar's better than Ben.
Yeah,
call me when Lamar wins an actual like big playoff game, and then maybe we can talk about when he wins a Super Bowl. You can talk to me about Ben Roethlisberger or a playoff game that isn't against Ryan Tannehill or a rookie CJ Stroud that's throwing to me. Then we can talk about Lamar Jackson maybe being in the same breath as Ben Roethlisberger.
I mean, see.
Wait. Did they beat Josh? No, they lost. Josh.
No. They lost to Patrick Mahomes. And they scored they scored a combined 13 points in those 2 games as well. So,
low scoring games, but yeah, I mean, I had nothing for that. But okay, let's talk about
how bad are you going to be if like they do the same thing they did against the Chiefs, where like they just decide to not run the ball, but like it's Derrick Henry. So like everybody's picking up on it. They're like, hey man, you got Derrick Henry standing on the sideline on 3rd and 3. Like
I would be pissed. I would be. My problem with those games is not that I want them to always run. It's that they say for some reason, you know what? Do we know how to run? We're just gonna throw. That's it. Now Stone here says Flacco is better and he could actually beat Tom.
Whoa. No, Stone is a big Tom Brady guy.
He didn't beat Tom in 2012. He beat the Denver. Oh no.
No, he beat Tom after the Broncos.
Near Tom though. That wasn't Tom.
Tom won after that. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I would also argue that Ray Rice beat the Patriots that year because the first play from scrimmage, he had like an 80-yard touchdown run and they beat the hell out of him.
Okay, I can argue that
and also,
Harrison was the one
to ignore the illegal substance taken by the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. Deer antler was not illegal.
The deer antler spray. Ray Lewis was out there somehow playing without a triceps muscle.
Okay, I don't want to deviate this conversation, so let's
also,
take it back.
Raheem Moore got y'all to the Super Bowl. We're not gonna forget that.
Hey,
I've never seen a safety play a deep ball worse.
Raheem Moore, shout out to him wherever he's at. I love you, brother.
And then what? Jim Harbaugh doing your brother a favor there, deciding not to run it at all. When you got the most dangerous run pass threat quarterback in NFL history at that point in time.
He was already cooked.
3 fade balls in the corner to Michael Crabtree of all people.
Love it.
Good times.
Yeah.
Love it.
Let's talk about my bad quarterback now.
So Steelers put up 30 points. 30 points. Justin Fields on the passing side wasn't like
Is that why they
breaking
benched
numbers,
Justin
145
Fields?
yards. But the offense looked better. Look, Najee Harris, a guy that we had talk here.
Oh man, I'm gonna have
He
to give
got
Najee
over
Harris
100
his props too.
yards. He got
He-
over 100 yards.
Yeah,
Najee took
Najee-
the jeans off.
Najee played I would argue not just his best game like this. I think it was his best game as a Steeler.
He was
Like,
definitely trying. The
he
effort was
averaged-
there.
averaged almost 8 yards a carry, had a 36-yard touchdown run, which is the second longest of his career. The only one that he had longer was against the Browns in Ben's last home game.
Okay, hold on.
I was just letting you know. I wasn't trying to. I was just letting you know.
But the other thing, even though the quote unquote passing numbers are not gonna be spectacular because it was less than 150, right? Yeah. But the idea that here Fields with the 11 carries and the 14 on Najee, which I heard that the Steelers from Tomlin and company want to be a run first team. And you're bringing Russ? Russ is taking first team now? Jared, tell me what's going on here?
No,
Baby.
I'm so over hearing how great Mike Tomlin is. I'm done. I'm so past it. And the next person who tells me how lucky I am or how good I have it as a Steelers fan, hey, get absolutely bent. I don't want to hear it. I'm done. This is a man who everybody tells, oh, he's won a Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin won that Super Bowl the month after Barack Obama got sworn into president for his first term. I'm so tired of hearing about that Super Bowl. Since then, he is 5-9 in the playoffs with losses to Tim Tebow and Blake Bortles. And now, finally having some semblance of a quarterback
I forgot about
after finally getting some semblance of a guy who could potentially be the future quarterback of this team. And I was going to bench him for a 36-year-old who can't move. I just don't get the logic here. I don't know what promises were made to Russell Wilson when he signed his contract, and Kenny Pickett was still on the roster at that time, and Justin Fields wasn't. But there's no reason why you bench Justin Fields right now. This is a man who currently has a higher EPA per play than Patrick Mahomes, a higher success rate than CJ Stroud, higher CPOE than Josh Allen, and more rushing touchdowns than Saquon Barkley. There is zero reason to take this man out of the game right now. If they were 2-4, I hear you. If the record was flipped, sure, see what you got in Russ. There's no reason to do this right now. No reason to do it right now. But he's gonna. And everybody's gonna say, oh, Mike Tomlin, go to hell. I don't care. I'm so over. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Q. But when Dave Damashek, of all people, who has been like the biggest Tomlin guy in NFL media, publicly tweets, yeah, I'm done. Go hire Ben Johnson. That's when you know it's really over. That's when you know it's really over. And it's just such a pain in the ass. And Albert Breer reported today on the Rich Eisen show that there are a lot of people internally in the organization that hope that Tomlin makes the decision to stick with Fields because they want to stick with Fields because they're winning. The offense right now, they're averaging 20 points a game. It's not great, but it's a hell of a lot better than what they were at this point last year. And the defense showed up against Vegas. They put up 32 points. 32 points. That's the second most points that they've scored since Ben retired. Like, I just don't understand how you can bench him right now. And again, the passing stuff, he went 14-24, I think $145.
Yeah.
Missed a few open throws. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pound the table and say that he's like an elite passer, but the extra element that he gives you with his legs, like, that can't be ignored. Like, Sonny, when Lamar Jackson, early in his career, he wasn't the best passer. He's gotten a lot better since then.
Yeah, he used to miss a lot of people.
Yeah, but 2018,
when Lamar used to not move his feet in the pocket.
Yeah.
I just think about that every time.
Fields is young.
Wow,
the idea here, Fields is very young. I thought, especially how Fields was playing, look, now you can basically make him your guy moving forward for X amount of years. And
again, I don't think that he's, a $55 million a year quarterback, but we've seen guys like Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and now Sam Darnold who have had these career resurrections. I think you can put Justin Fields in that tier, like, of guys who've like played well with new teams and new situations that better fit them. And he's played well this far. So I don't understand the logic behind it. And it's nothing against Russ. Like, he's been nothing but professional throughout all of this. He's been nothing but positive, and I got nothing against Russ whatsoever. And if he does start, like, I'm going to root like hell that he proves me wrong, like, as a Steelers fan. But I just don't get the logic behind pulling the 25-year-old who's played well to hand it over to the soon-to-be 36-year-old who's dealing with a calf injury with an offensive line that's pretty banged up. Zach Frazier's not playing this game. Against a Jets defense that is just going to be like, oh, you're putting 36-year-old Russell Wilson in there, not Justin Fields. All right, let's send hell at the quarterback, and let's see how that goes. My guess, it's not going to go well. Man. Yeah, bro, it's not going to go well. So they could just literally have Sauce go one-on-one with George Pickens, DJ Reed on Van Jefferson, and be like, all right, good luck. Good luck beating us in the pass game. We're going to stack the box, and you're not going to be able to run the ball. So have fun. It's going to be a pain.
Jets and Giants back-to-back. Primetime games, so everybody can see this Steelers Russ experiment. I was shocked. Like, I thought people were trolling me when they said, hey, they're thinking about putting Russ to start. And then today I checked and he took all the first team snaps.
Yeah, bro. Like he's starting. Like it's all but like Tom Pelissero reported it yesterday that like, hey, they're going to start Russ. And then Tomlin did his normal word salad. Well, we're going to keep that in turn. Oh, I hate it so much. It's so annoying. Like all these damn word salad answers that he gives. Like, bro, my guess is that, and I think I saw somebody say this on Twitter, my guess is that he told Russ that he's going to start. He told his camp leaked it. And now he's just trying to be like, well, actually, we're just going to roll the ball out there. And so he goes, no, you're going to start Russ. And it's inexcusable right now that if Fields is playing like ass, then I could understand turning it over to Russ and seeing what you got. And if they were 2-4 instead of 4-2, and if they weren't 6 points away from being 6-0, then sure, I totally get why you'd want to see what you have in Russ. You brought both guys in for a reason, but none of those things are true right now, and it just makes no sense right now. And Connor Orr did a tremendous a little skit about it on He the Call today, where he's like, imagine being a fly on the wall in Arthur Smith's office right now. Mike Tomlin comes in with a smile on his face. He's like, Art, I figured out who the starter is going to be this week. And he's like, oh, great. All right. You got to guess who it is. Like, okay. Is it, the young guy who's, got us to 4-2? Nope. Okay. Well, does this guy throw over the middle? Not once. Oh, okay. Well, is it at least, somebody that we might be able to, have for the future? No, it's not that guy either. Oh, so it's going to be Russ. Yeah, it's going to be Russ. It's like, and fuck. Okay, great. So that's just, and again, I hope that Russ, jokes aside, I hope that Russ plays well, and I hope the Steelers win. But if he doesn't, then I hope that Tomlin at least has the gumption to be like, okay, shouldn't have done that. Justin, you're the starter against the Giants, and that's how it's going to be going forward. But something tells me it's not.
Ace, what are you thinking
about Russ playing too? Is like, what if he doesn't have the decency to just have a statistically bad game? Like, what if he does what he did with Denver, where he's like, statistically, I'm fine.
Yeah,
but I'm actually awful.
But do you remember watching those Denver games? I watched a couple, and he was fine only because after losing in a lot of those games, then he put numbers in the back end of those games, and you're like, well, he put yards.
There was the game against Kansas City on Thursday night. Like his numbers looked fine, but there was like a specific third down. It was like 3rd and 6, and like he probably could have like tried to fit a ball into a window that might have moved the chains, but he decided to like eat it instead. And it's like, okay, bro, you kind of stat protecting right now. Like let's not do that. So,
but Tomlin does like that. He doesn't like the turnover, conservative to a fault.
And look, bro, I've said it on this show before. I've said it on my show plenty of times. Like Mike Tomlin's approach to winning is so outdated, and we can talk about the floor being elevated with Mike Tomlin, but we also got to acknowledge that the ceiling is also very low. So that's where I'm at, and he's going to be here till at least 2027 because that's how long his extension's for. So it's at least 3 more years of this. Can't wait.
Oh, buddy, Jared, you got till he retires.
Oh, there'll be another extension after that. Don't worry.
I'm about to say, how old is he? He's only like in his 50s, right?
He's early 50s.
Oh, yeah, buddy. You better strap up. 9 wins for the rest of your life, Jared. Okay?
52 is Tomlin.
Oh yeah, bro. He's got a good 8 years left, and we get to 60.
Okay, Ace. I don't know how much you watched of this game. It was especially in the second half. It was basically GG. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Steelers defense dominated, and I think that the Raiders self-destructed. I mean, they had a whole bunch of opportunities where they could have tried to make this somewhat of a game, but Steelers took advantage of it. And apparently, certain people have been watching this show. Patrick Queen must have been watching this show with the 13 tackles.
Bro, that was the Patrick Queen I was waiting to see. He had great closing speed on the ball. Najee Harris upgraded from Dasani to what's that? What's a really fancy water brand? Let's think of this on the
Perrier.
That's a good one. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, some nice little Perrier
Fiji.
sparkling water.
The
Yeah,
shit they give you when you go to a wine spot and it comes in like a glass bottle and they charge you $15
some
for
Voss
it.
water. Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah,
I mean, the Steelers played a really good game in this one. 30 points. 30 points from the Steelers offense. Obviously, that was helped by the defense, but they were able to put those points up. This has been a team now that has been able to show that they can at least score. That's the scary part, I think, about it. But all those fears go away when Osama bin Tomlin is just
I don't know.
That's why I forgot about that.
It's still on his. It's still on his Instagram. He hasn't deleted it.
Let me throw Russell Wilson in. I'm like, oh wow, that's what we're doing.
What's hilarious? Like all the times people were like, "Hey man, let's just like see what Mason Rudolph has," and Mike refused to do it.
Bro, I legitimately, I don't know why. I don't know why he hated Mason Rudolph so much, but it was very evident that there was something there where he just didn't want to play him. I do want to quickly acknowledge like all the good things that happened in the Raiders game since I just went on like a little rant. TJ Watt, 2 forced fumbles, the best player in football right now. He's playing out of his mind. He should win Defensive Player of the Year this year if this play continues. He's just absolutely insane, man. One of them was on the goal line where Amir Abdullah fumbled the ball, and that was pretty much the end of the game at that point because the Steelers recovered. Raiders didn't score. Raiders scored on their first drive. They didn't score another touchdown until the game was already out of reach late in the fourth quarter. So the defense really showed up. Dante Jackson picked off his 3rd pass. He has been a takeaway machine. I love Dante Jackson. Great acquisition. Who else? Jeremiah Moon had a lot more snaps because of the injuries to edge rushers, and he had a blocked punt. So a lot of guys stepping up, playing really well. I'm trying to think of anybody else on the offensive side of the ball that I haven't acknowledged already. Mason McCormick, the right guard. Isaac Small, the left guard. Ryan McCollum, who came in for an injured Zach Frazier. Offensive line looked pretty good. So overall, I mean, there was a lot of things to be happy about during that game. It's just a shame that a lot of it's being overshadowed right now because they're going to take out the quarterback that's helping them win. So happy about all of those guys playing well. Happy about Najee having maybe the best game of his career. So hopefully that can continue against the Jets because, the Raiders aren't exactly the Jets defense right now. So a little bit worried about that. And we're going to see what the over-under ends up being on that game, but it's probably a safe bet to take the under, whatever it is.
Definitely the best game for Najee for sure. I thought that this was going to be a closer game. Like I think some people on here said, it's going to be a close game. Didn't end up being that way. Steelers, they played a good game. I think Justin Fields didn't play his best game, right? But he wasn't like the reason – he didn't play a bad game. It just was kind of a situation. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns too, right?
He did.
Yeah, 2 rushing touchdowns. So he did most of his work on the ground. And I think like similar, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I think like, remember when we first saw Lamar Jackson kind of come out and people had to kind of adjust how Lamar Jackson played football? I think some people have to do that for Justin Fields because sometimes it's not like the prettiest stat line that you're going to see, but you are going to see the 2 rushing touchdowns. You are going to see like certain plays that he makes here or there. But now that's a moot point now because now Russ is a quarterback. So to me, I think that that's a mistake. But, Steelers have done what they needed to do to get past these games. We'll see how this Russ experiment plays out. I, for one, am happy to see him return. I'm like,
me too.
You literally got gifted the little calf injury. You literally got gifted everything Fields to be the guy, and Tomlin's like, hold on, we scored 30. No, we got to change this up.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten to that. It's obvious the reason that Justin Fields got benched. It's because the Steelers scored more than 30 points. That made Tomlin very uncomfortable. It's like, hey, hold on, wait. I didn't sweat this one out.
That's too much.
I didn't sweat this one. I didn't get my normal cardio in. Like, we gotta nerf this. You know what I mean? Like,
we can't. Winning comfortably is not something we do here. We do 1-score games, exclusively 1-score games. Yeah, that was only their 5th win by more than 1 score since the start of 2021. They don't do that. That was a big rarity.
It's like when your gym teacher is too much fun. and then they bring in the other gym teacher to make sure that you actually like learn whatever's on the curriculum because you've been playing too much basketball, right? Like that's what's going on right there for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's
have fun.
I'm not. And the fact that, we got a Bengals fan here and a Browns fan here who are like, oh, yeah, thank God they're putting in. I mean, that kind of.
You can get the Ravens fan too.
And a Ravens fan as well, who's just, that kind of makes my point for me. Everybody in the division's like, oh, thank God they're playing Russ this week.
I thought people were going to get a victory lap off on me on my Russ takes before the season because just by default, because he was never going to play. And I was like, damn, that's a hard way to lose because I know I'm right. But now I get an opportunity to be right. Like I've been right about every other team but me. Okay. Like, you know how painful that is? Gonna get some damn joy back somehow.
I don't want to say this is my dream scenario, but for the future of the team, it kind of is. If like Russ just plays bad in the first half and they bite the thing in the butt right away, they put Fields in the second half and he leads a comeback win.
Don't bench him.
Then it doesn't matter. Tomlin's not going anywhere. Mike Tomlin, by the way, Kevin Adams of Barstool just commented this on one of my replies to him. He said, Mike Tomlin could crap in Mr. Rooney's mailbox and his job wouldn't be at stake. Like, he can do whatever he wants and know that he's not going to get fired. So what does he have to worry about?
Could he hire Tim Tebow to be a blocking tight end?
Probably. He could hire Tim Tebow to play quarterback tomorrow if he wanted to. Like, bro, that man has the greatest job security in the world because he can do whatever he wants and he's not going anywhere. And it's, as a fan, it's incredibly frustrating because you know that no matter what happens, it largely means nothing for change because Tom's not going to change. So it's frustrating.
Q, anything you want to add about this game?
No, they're a different team now. Like,
it doesn't matter.
The team I was going to evaluate, that was the team that started Justin Fields at quarterback. Who would look, if he can't throw that day, he can at least run. Now I'd be like, hey, if Russ can't throw one day, you know what happens? He just gets sacked. That's a different team. That's a completely different team. You're really gonna have to test your tackles too, because he makes your tackles worse because he rolls into protection all the time. Maybe your run game gets a little bit better because Russ is out there. But I have seen how Russ's running backs react to Russ, man. They don't like that dude. I don't think he's good for the run game. I don't think he'd be checking into shit when he's supposed to.
What are the odds that we see like the Melvin Gordon meme recreated? He's just sitting on the sideline, chugging a get. Najhee's just like glaring daggers at him.
I think I made this point with you almost a year ago where we were right when Russ got signed, and everybody was like, "Oh, George Pickens versus Russ is going to be hilarious." And I was like, "No, it's not usually the wide receiver that freaks out at Russ. It's usually the tight ends and the running backs."
Tight end for sure.
Like, because he does stuff that drives you crazy. And like, I've never seen a team put somebody who has already not had a great reputation for this kind of thing in a worse situation, because playing him when they're 4-2 is crazy, right? Like, making a quarterback change here. I know people are like, yeah, well, the film could justify it. And like, I respect the people who are there, but I'm just like, they're 4-2. It's like, just off record alone, it's like the Browns should change their quarterback. The other team shouldn't, right? But it's going the opposite way. And I just find that to be a fascinating dynamic going on here.
They're 6 points away from being undefeated, and Fields led them on a potential game-winning drive against Dallas, and then the defense gave up a 15-play game-losing drive. So had they not done that, and if George Pickens doesn't fumble in the red zone against the Colts, they're probably 6-0 right now. So it's crazy that they're even
after a win. They're doing this too.
After a 19-point win.
The biggest margin of the year. I have never, if you go out there and like, this game is competitive with New York, which it probably will be. New York's going to have a lot more energy, right, this week, because they got Devontae Adams now. You get the post-coach firing bump, which, again, New York, don't fall for it. Every team falls for it. But I think the Raiders are the most recent team to fall for it, where it's like, oh, Antonio Pierce got us together for a good period of time. Let's hire him to be the coach. I've literally seen Romeo Crennel get that bump and get hired like twice off that, right? Kansas City and Texans. So yeah, it's fascinating that they're choosing to do this now. And like, it's Russ that they're doing this with. It feels contractually obligated. Like this feels like a contractual obligation.
Yep. I think that there were promises made when he signed his contract. They're like, "Hey, you're gonna be the starter." But again, that was when Kenny Pickett was still on the roster and Justin Fields wasn't. Exactly.
Yeah, even if that's the case, you signed him to that contract in the summer of 2024. Nothing told you that was something you should have done.
Yeah,
it's guaranteed Russ playing time. So, like, if you did that, that's on you. Ultimately as a team, and that's on Tomlin too, because there's no way you signed him to that, and like Tomlin's not okay with it. So yeah, it's just I can't believe they're going to Russ. Like this would have been my the Steelers might be good. They had those 2 shaky weeks. They might have found a formula, but now I got to see what they look like with Russ before I make any judgments of them. They're back in the unknown category too.
And every smart person that does this for a living is saying, "Yeah, this is stupid." Like Mina Kimes, Dan Orlovsky, Solak is like, "This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever." Like, yeah, bro, it doesn't make any sort of sense.
By the way,
I don't
shout out to the Steelers because this some Browns shit.
Like
it is. It is. This is something
Hugh
that
Jackson shit right here, dog.
This is something that bad organizations do. And for everybody who's like, "Well, Russ was named the starter coming into the season," dude, who gives a shit? Like, plenty of guys have gotten hurt, and then the backup played better, and then that guy was replaced. Like, sometimes that happens. So it's
not like you committed to Russ for X amount of years after this year. This is just a one-year experiment.
I don't think
that's
so.
my point.
The case.
No. That's my point. That you don't have an extension on Russ, right? If you bench him for the whole year, what's Russ gonna do? Leave next year? He was gonna leave anyway. I don't know what's the point, but I'm happy.
We are both at different places with like different quarterbacks, but it's like, yeah, man, what's Russ gonna do? And I'm just sitting here like, if you bench Deshaun, what's he gonna do? Request a trade?
Exactly.
Like
I mean, hell, the Texans paid him to stay home during the 2020 year.
Bro, you've done this before, and you know what? You got more money to do it. You just stay home. Your career's over, Eddie. I don't understand how. I think his people are delusional. They think he has a career after this, but I'm like, hey, man, the second he gets benched by Cleveland, that's it. Your career's over with. But
okay, we have a couple super chats here. The 188 says no. Najee's best game was against Cleveland in 2021. I don't recall that game, but maybe. Do you recall that game, Q?
You should. Yeah,
I don't.
They're talking about Ben's last game.
Many good.
Oh yeah. I don't recall that from that game. You know what I recall from that game? Baker Mayfield standing still in the pocket, getting smacked 8 times, almost giving Najee the sack record, and then telling us he's not going to play next week in the press conference.
Nova Stone here says if Tom played in 2008, only 1 Super Bowl for Ben, so equals Flacco.
I mean, we could play shoulda, coulda, woulda all day. Ben Roethlisberger has 2 Super Bowls and led one of the greatest drives in the history of football to win one of those. So
this is just like Flacco over Ben is not even a take that people had.
That's so strange. Yeah,
playing. Like it's just,
I cannot even defend that.
Joe Flacco's
this is
mother.
only a take you could have if you were like not really watching football. With
Joe Flacco's own mother wouldn't take him over Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh. So RVA Ravens fan says they're
Mrs. Flacco's like, I think Ben.
They are.
I come around, I can come get you in the snake draft. You know.
So he says they're benching him, so they don't have to give a higher draft pick.
That's absolutely not what they're doing.
What a terrible idea!
It's a day 3 pick. They respectfully, they don't give 2 shits about that. Either way, they're just giving up a day 3. That is not why they're doing.
Give up a 5th or a 6th.
It's a conditional 4th, I believe. They traded a 6 that could become a 4 or a 5 that could become a 4. It's nothing. If it was like a conditional 1st, then maybe I'd listen to that. But no.
I think that's what's going on with the Browns. I think they don't want to pay Jameis $8 million, so they're going to wait to the bye week where he's not going to hit that bonus.
That's a good idea.
You want to play against the Watson. And the 188 also said if they start Russ, it's because they think he'll make more plays in the passing game and is better using play action.
Have you guys watched Russ lately? Have you watched the last?
Did y'all watch the Broncos last year? This is going to be a lot of just 3-yard checkdowns.
Remember when the Broncos were on national television? Like,
Bro, the only reason I'm convinced that Steelers fans think Russ is like this passing guru recently is because Justin Fields runs the ball. They're like, we got to balance it with some other tape.
It's
right?
so dumb because
they do the same stuff. Just Justin Fields does the same stuff much faster and much more athletically.
Like in today's NFL, a lot of the best quarterbacks have legs and use them a lot. Like Lamar Jackson uses his legs a hell of a ton. He's never thrown for 4,000 yards in a season, but nobody's going to sit here and argue that, Jameis, who's thrown for 5,000 yards, is better than Lamar. Like, let's use our heads here, people.
Nobody's going to argue that Jameis is a better passer.
That's that is so true. Dumb. Box score merchants, man. Tell you what.
Ray Rack also says, I want to hear the entire stadium get so mad and revolt against the team in real time. Maybe that'll force their hand to bench Watson if their home field becomes a hostile environment to themselves.
I need that. I need 3 and out from Deshaun Watson. Let the Browns just.
Our only hope is Martin Luther Chubb. Okay, we need him to have the run game equivalent of the "I Have a Dream" speech. Like, that's the only thing that's going to stop that stadium from just pure revolt and disgust. If Nick Chubb has like -6 yards and 4 carries for this team, dog, it's over with. That stadium won't exist anymore. Like, it's going to be one of the ugliest things. Hey, Nick Chubb about to be running for the peace and sanctity of the city of Cleveland. They might get eliminated by the New York Yankees by the time they get back to play this game, dog. Like, nah. Nick Chubb's got a lot on his back this week, man.
The 188 also says here, Jerry, if the group who laugh at Justin Fields is agreeing with you about Russ, then you on the wrong side.
I don't get what this is saying.
He's saying because we're laughing about Justin Fields or
I
about
never
Russ.
laughed about Justin Fields.
No. About. Oh yeah, I don't remember laughing about.
I never wanted Justin Fields to play because he's good.
I think none of us. Well, let me say this: I don't think we have a lot of high hopes for Justin Fields. Not you, Jared, but I will speak for me. I think Q the same. But we also said we will prefer the Steelers to start Russell Wilson because we did not. We said there's a hope with Justin Fields. There's something there. Yeah. It could be potentially something.
I'm mad at
Russ is Russ. Russ is Russ.
I'm mad at Ben Tomlin too, because I was starting Justin Fields on my fantasy team the last couple of weeks, dog.
And look, bro, again, it's nothing against Russ. Like, Russ has been cool to me anytime I've talked to him and anything like that, and I hope that he plays well. But like, I'd be just as mad if Ben was still on this team and Tom was like, you know what, this week we're gonna go with Landry Jones. I'm like, why? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Why does this dude like? When did he ever hear us laugh at Justin Fields as if we thought he was a worse option than Russell Wilson? Our whole joke about Russell Wilson has been he's clearly the worst quarterback you could possibly play.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so let's talk about the Sunday night matchup. Sunday night matchup.
The least Sunday night football game.
Bengals and Giants. What a game. Look, I will say this. I will say this. I was shocked because I thought it was going to be an easier match for the Bengals. I know the score. I think you guys won by 10. I can't remember. Right at the end, we had Captain America. They almost fumble. Well, he fumbled.
It was Chase Brown.
I'm sorry, Chase.
Chris Evans.
I'm sorry. He fumbled, but it went out of bounds. But then they score on either the next possession or the following one, the touchdown, which makes the score decent, right? By 10, I think.
Yeah.
The Giants missed the field goal, and look, I said before the game started, or when we were reviewing, I said, like, there's one chance the Giants have. It's just that D-line eats the O-line, right? And that's how this game was. I mean, Joe Burrow was taking hits after hits, pressure after pressure. But hey, so it doesn't matter, really. If you win by 1, if you win ugly, you get that dub, right? Yep. What was your thoughts about this game?
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird game because we knew that the Bengals needed to win this game. We knew Malik Neighbors wasn't playing. So it kind of lined up for them to be kind of an easy dub, like going into it, right? And the way the game starts off with Joe Burrow with the 47-yard run, I'm like, oh, okay, we're about to take off in this game. Like the offense is going to keep it rolling, you know. And then a whole bunch of punts, bro. A whole bunch of punts, fumbles, nothing essentially from the offense. Offense just flatlines. Defense, for some reason, well, I'm not going to say for some reason because they know that they've been bad the last couple of weeks. They had a players-only meeting. Defense stepped it up, which, I mean, against Daniel Jones and all of that, like not too hard, but I am glad that Mike Hilton was able to rally the troops and get the defense back on the right page. The one thing I will say that was impressive though is Andrew Thomas. I'm hoping that he hasn't been lost for a season, so prayers up for him. No, he ended up having some kind of injury after the game. But to me, that was one of the marquee matchups, right? Andrew Thomas versus Trey Henderson, an elite tackle versus an elite edge rusher. He's able to beat him twice in that game. Another guy that put his stamp on that game, B.J. Hill. You could kind of tell B.J. Hill the whole game was fired up. That might be the first time he's played the Giants since he was
played
traded
amazing
from them.
against us too, Ace. I think B.J. Hill has been fantastic since coming back of injury.
Yeah, B.J. Hill, but he had even more pep in his step for this one because he used to play for the Giants. So we traded the Giants for him. We actually finessed them with Billy Price, by the way, on that one. So thank you, New York Giants, for that. But he's actually, I believe, from New York. So he was playing against his former team. He's from the city, even though they play in Jersey technically. But I'm sure he had a lot of family at the game, but he really showed up for this one. The offense, like I said, just really, I don't know what Zach Taylor was calling, dog. Like, I'm just sitting there at my screen, like, completely yelling because we kind of talked about the Ravens game where he did the 3 runs. He was about to do that again in this game. I'm like, dog, if this man calls a drop play on 2nd and long again, I am going to lose my mind. And then it literally happened, setting them up into 3rd and long. And the only reason that we were able to convert it was because of Joe Burrow. The play broke down. He was able to find Yoshi on the 3rd down. That was a key point in the game. We were able to do some good things from a special team standpoint. I guess if you want to brag about a punter, because that's all they did, they were able to do some good things on special teams. They were able to make some field goals there. The Giants, I don't know how that guy still has a job. That Giants kicker, he should have been on waivers like yesterday. But they weren't able to do much of anything on offense. They just weren't able to really score. I mean, it's Daniel Jones at the end of the day. So I think the defense played well. But the Bengals just did what they needed to do, which was win. But after the game, a lot of players were frustrated, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball, they were good. They were complimentary about the defense. But Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were not happy about the outcome in this game. I couldn't understand why Jamar Chase wasn't targeted until like the 3rd and 4th quarter after he had like 4 targets. You know, especially after the big game from him and T. Higgins, you would have thought that you would have seen more. T. Higgins had a good game in this game with the 7 receptions for 77 yards. And then you also had the run game. It just hasn't really looked good. Like, I know that there's people that are like, oh, our run game's better without Joe Mixon. And that's really not the case. I think when you think about this game, like Zach Moss he's struggled, I think 2 games in a row now. I think he had like an average yards per carry of like 3.6 on the season or something like that. Like, that's worse than Joe Mixon. And then when it comes to Chase Brown, to me, he's RB1. I don't even think it was a competition in my personal opinion because I didn't elevate Zach Moss just because I didn't like Joe Mixon like some weird fans that we have. But, you know, Chase Brown, if you take out the 30-yard like gain and touchdown that he had there, like he ended the game with 58 yards, right? So you're talking about 28 yards if he doesn't have that big run. And then if that fumble goes the other way, that's something that people aren't talking about. So luckily, fumble goes out of bounds. Chase Brown is able to clinch it for us. So I believe in Chase Brown, but the 2 fumbles that they had in that game could have been costly. That could have been another way that the Bengals found a way to lose a football game that they should have won. So, you know, Zach Moss fumbles, Chase Brown fumbles, and us as Bengals fans, that's one of the things that we've forgotten about Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon never fumbled the ball. So that was something that they had to kind of figure out. Offensive line struggled in this one. The offensive line has been really good thus far this season. Now, I won't say that it's because the Giants did anything like special. The Giants are just good. There's a reason that they lead the league in sacks. They were able to get the first sack of the season that Orlando Brown has given up. against the Bengals. They were able to confuse Amarius Mims a little bit with the right guard over there with some of the stunts that they were allowed to get through. So the Giants were able to get, I think it was 4 sacks in the game. So I will give credit to the Giants. I think their defense is actually pretty good, better than I expected it to be going into this game. Their offense just can't do anything. So luckily, Wendell Robinson, I guess we tried to keep him in check. Slayton, I believe, got hurt at some point. So they just didn't have anybody on offense. And that would have been an embarrassing loss if the Bengals somehow found a way to lose that game. However, they got the win. But I'm like kind of scratching my head because I'm like 3 straight games of 30 points. I'm not expecting them to just drop 30 every game. But, to see them only score 17 in this one was kind of head scratching at certain points. The refereeing, because a lot of people always talk about the refereeing when they lose, right? Refereeing has some questionable calls in this game. It was kind of weird with some of the refereeing in this one. But that's why you don't try to keep games close because you never want the refereeing to become a factor in the game. But the Bengals were able to get out of here with a win. To me, I wasn't impressed, but I'm just glad that they got the win. So I'll take it however it comes. I'm going to take some of those Pittsburgh Steelers-esque wins because I feel like that's what this kind of was. Playing good defense, making a play here or there, and trying to hold on to win the game. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Caucasian Cunningham, Joe Burrow, running for a 40-yard touchdown.
Hit 19. I think he hit 19 miles an hour on the GPS.
Yeah.
Damn.
Speedy.
Damn. Jerry, so what was your take about this game?
I was bored out of my mind. I was very upset I had to watch that game. It was quite boring. I was just kind of waiting for the Bengals to finally break through and take the top off the Giants, and it just kind of never happened. After Burrow's run, it was a quick start for them. I was like, all right, this might be kind of that transition game that, they build off of what happened last week, and the offense continues to look good, and then it just didn't really do much from there. So what's their next stretch of games look like, Ace? I don't know it off the top of my head.
For the Bengals,
yeah,
we've got the Browns, Raiders, I believe, Eagles, and then Ravens. Is that it, Sonny? When do we play you guys again?
That's exactly it. So I have it here. They have Browns, Eagles, Raiders, and then Ravens on a Thursday night in Baltimore.
Okay. So, I think they're going to be favored in at least 2 of those against Cleveland and Vegas. So we'll
the
see.
Eagles is in Cincinnati, by the way.
Okay. So, those are 3 winnable games. I don't think that the game against Baltimore is unwinnable. So, 4 games that you can win. If you go 3-1 in that stretch, you're still in a pretty good spot. So it's, I don't know. The defense did their job. They held them to less than 10 points, which, by the way, is the first time they've done that in 70-some games or something crazy like that. It was the longest streak in the NFL. I know that. So it was insane how long it's been since they had held a team to under double-digit points. And I know a lot of people are going to well, it's the Giants. Well, if the Giants would have had a great day, then you'd be like, oh, how could they let the Giants do that? No, they beat up a bad offense like they should. So the defense took promising steps. I'm just waiting for them to put together a complete game where the offense and defense both look really good, and they just beat the piss out of somebody. Somebody tells me that, could be against the Raiders, maybe. The Steelers can do it. I believe the Bengals can do it. So we'll see when that game comes around. But it's a win, and they'll take that right now.
Yeah, so this game right here for the Bengals, you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
This game here for the Bengals was pretty much exactly what I thought it would be. I thought the Giants would be a little bit tougher than people anticipated coming in. This kind of reminds me a lot of the Carolina game, right? Except for it was much less scoring. We'll see what Cincinnati is, man. I just don't think we know who Cincinnati is as a football team right now. We know that they have a great quarterback. We know at times they're capable of having a great offense, but they haven't been consistent all year. And I think that's just it. That might be the identity of this year's team for Cincinnati. It's just a very inconsistent bunch.
Okay, so we have one super chat here. The 188 says, so Jared, you're saying based on what you've seen from Fields that he's the future, and
Come on,
man, he already said that he's not willing to give him 35-40 mil.
Yeah, I would give him somewhere between what Geno and Baker makes, because Geno makes 25, and I think Baker's making 33.3 because he got 3 and 100. So somewhere between there. If you want to give him like between 25 and 33, I'd be comfortable with that.
With like outs too.
Jared,
right?
the one thing, because I asked a lot of Steelers fans this when it happened, I was like, why wouldn't you guys pick up his 5th-year option? Like that part of it was kind of confusing to me because it's like, if it does work out, you're kind of getting them at a cheaper price versus having to, and then you get another year. And then it didn't make sense because at the time you guys were like, oh, the plan is to start Russ. So it's like, so you're just keeping Justin Fields for 1 year and you're not even going to see like what he can be.
I legitimately think they didn't do it to spare Russ's feelings, because if they would have picked up the 5th-year option, then that would have basically said, okay, we're going into 2025 with Justin Fields. When Russell Wilson's been like, oh, I can play for a few more years, actually. And it's like, all right, bro. Like,
Does Russ have pictures? Is that what happens here?
I don't know, bro. Like it doesn't
Don't
make a
give
whole
him his
lot.
own office. Don't give him his own office now.
They haven't done that. So
By the way,
that's
the one
good.
thing I forgot to mention in the Steelers thing, somebody, if I feel the Steelers hate, is Firemouth. They don't throw the ball, and then you're going to start the guy that hates the tight ends the most, and Russell Wilson.
They just paid Pat Freiermuth, so they better start feeding him.
They paid Pat Freiermuth for his service ahead of time. You know it's going to be tough. We're going to take care of you, Mr. Freiermuth.
I love me some Pat Freiermuth.
I love my Firemouth too.
I'm hoping that he continue. I mean, he's had a solid season so far, but I mean, people forget, man, when he was a rookie catching like 6-7 balls a game, he had 7 touchdowns his rookie year. Like he was a legit target for Ben in his last year. So I wish that he would have had more competent quarterback play to build off that. But hopefully, I'm glad they took care of him. Hopefully, he can start building back to what he was as a rookie.
Okay, so let's shift now to the Ravens. Ravens were playing against the number 1 scoring team. Defense showed up. They allowed 23 points. I will say this on the defensive side, Jaden Daniels. We had a good game plan. Basically, contain him in the pocket. He tried to rush a couple of times. By the way, the time that he tried to rush for the touchdown, he got clogger. He got clogger so bad that he didn't run the whole rest of the game. And it ended up being a flag. It didn't even count. But the kid, I would say this, he throws darts. This is one of the best corner games that I've seen us playing. Our corners were glued to the receivers, and he was just throwing just enough in front of the guy that the only person that can make the play, it was the wide receiver. I was super impressed by Daniels. I was also very impressed by the defense of the Ravens on the rushing side. On the passing side, they gave out 269. Again, a lot of them were just better throws, good defense, but better offense. And then the offensive side, look, they had a game plan. Their game plan was, like the Bengals, stack the box. Lamar goes and throws for over 300 yards. He had a pick, but the pick was, he threw it a little behind Andrews, and then Andrews tried to grab it, and then just bounced out of his hand, and then, the guy grabbed
Andrews,
it.
that milk carton is still wearing the face. I know.
Mark Andrews had a good game.
Mark had a good game. He did.
But in that play,
For 2024 Mark Andrews standards.
Fair.
Yeah.
But in that play, it's one of those plays that you're like, I see what you're doing because you're trying to make the play. But if you didn't make the play at all, if you didn't even try to make the play, it would have been incomplete because Lamar did throw behind him.
There's also just a really good play by Mike Sanders who came up with the pick to make a play on the ball.
So early in the game, they feed Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers was eating 9 receptions over 100 yards, and they were rushing with Henry. Henry ended up with 2 touchdowns, 130 yards, 132 to be exact. They went all right, like over 300 yards, over 160 yards rushing as a team. Lamar rushed, but only a couple of times, just in very specific moments. So they didn't have to use him a lot on the rushing side. This is a game that I thought offensively, and the Ravens have been putting offensive games like this that are very complete. Their defense is trying to stop something, and then they switch. So early in the game, the defense was stopping the run. Lamar's throwing all over the place. So then they start backing down. We start running the ball even more, right? Very balanced, very hard to stop. This is the Ravens team that I want to see going forward, not a Ravens team that goes one-dimensional. I think, and defensively, they showed up. They played well against again number one scoring team. Now we're going against the number one scoring team again because the Buccaneers put 51 points. But they showed up, and this is what they need to do. They need to play better, defensively specifically. Offensively, there's nothing to pick there. Maybe you can nitpick something here or there. But defensively, they need to have more confidence and show these type of games. This was a game that I didn't think the defense. I said last game that I thought our defense was a step slower, a step behind in every play. In this one, they weren't. Marcus Williams got Cook over there in the corner. But other than Marcus in that one play, for the most part, the defense was there. They play well. They need to keep playing like that. You know what? They play more man than what I seen them played. So I don't know if that helps a lot, not being out of position, because in the zone schemes that they were putting, that's basically what it was. People were out of position most of the time. Regardless, defense played well. They showed up. That's what they need to do. Look, we're 4-2. We have a loss that we should have had, which is the Raiders lost. But this is a team that right now, if you check our schedule, has played really good teams overall. Like Dallas used to be a good team. They're a bum team currently, and then the Raiders, a bum team, but we did take an L there. Other than that, we play against really good teams, and they have been looking battle tested, minus the Raiders. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Baltimore. The defense needs to keep playing better. The pass rush is keeping improving, and I've been shocked without blitzing how much pass rush we're having. It's just fun. I don't know. I'm liking what I'm seeing from those Ravens, but hey, Q, what do you thought about this game?
Yeah, I don't know how much to take from it because I'm just not a believer that this Washington thing is going to be something that's going to be serious by the end of the year. I thought that they were in need of like playing a big boy team, and I think this is their first big boy team that they played, and I thought the Ravens pretty much had control of this for most of the way here. I kind of thought this would be this way. I didn't, and it's going to be interesting. I think Baltimore is going to be on another run here because they're going up against a Tampa Bay team that you really want to see get tested against a big boy defense. And I think Baltimore, sometimes they're capable of playing to a level. We'll see what the rest of the season tells us, but right now what this win tells me is that Baltimore is a good team. They're a threat to win the division, but that's not anything new than what I knew the week before.
Ace.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore is rolling, man. I mean, I picked them to win this game. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson is looking like it's unstoppable at this point, right? Like they figured it out. They've got things going. At first, the way that this started off, it was like, number one, number two offensive scoring teams in the NFL. I'm expecting out the gates, pow, pow, pow. And it really didn't start off like that, right? It started off a little slower than I expected. And then once Baltimore kind of ramped it up, Commanders tried to fight back a little bit. But the Ravens were just too much for them. You got to give kudos to the Ravens defense for stepping up and playing better than they did, especially after giving up the points that they did to the Bengals. So it seemed like they were able to tighten things up. Seems like they were able to kind of adjust, like Sonny said, to what Jaden Daniels was able to do. Jaden Daniels still had a good game in this one, right? Like no picks or anything like that, but they had a good game plan. And it's funny because it kind of sounded like they were listening to Bill Belichick when no one can figure out, like, how do we stop Jaden Daniels? And Bill Belichick was just like, you got to keep him in the pocket. Can't let him get out the pocket. And that's exactly what the Ravens did, and it was pretty effective against them. And I don't think that the Commanders were ready for kind of that environment either, right? Like even though they're in the area as well, it seemed like it was heavy Ravens out there. So Ravens are taking care of business, and right now Lamar is playing like an MVP. So he's definitely an MVP candidate. That's definitely there. Sonny kind of talked about the stretch of games. Think about the quarterbacks that he's played in that stretch and the wins that he's been able to get thus far. So, I am a Bengals fan. I know you guys say that I hate on the Ravens all the time, but I'm giving Lamar and the Ravens their props. They went out there and got a good victory this week, and we'll see where they keep going as the weeks come in.
Jarrett.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry did his thing too. We talked about if the Commanders can't stop Henry, then it's going to be, probably wraps from there. But I'll give credit to Washington. I mean, I think they came in the final point spread was 7.5. They covered the spread. They played a competitive game. I still think that's the team to beat in the NFC East. Maybe not talent-wise, but at least like structurally speaking.
Oh, yeah.
The way that the Cowboys are looking right now,
and the Eagles.
Yeah. So they seem to at least have a grown-up in charge and have a young quarterback that's showing a lot of promise. So in terms of Ravens
in charge, though, is Cliff Kingsbury. And the head coach is Dan Quinn, who is coming from the Atlanta Falcons and the Cowboys the last few stops. So I really don't think we're going to know who's going to win this division till the end of the year.
I think
this team got second.
Cowboys coach. I don't know. Mike McCarthy. We trusting Mike McCarthy?
Yeah, I mean the Cowboys.
I know the Cowboys have at least like gotten to the playoffs a couple times before. Like we're trusting like something brand new here with the Commanders.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Every year, we see at least one team go from worst to first, and maybe this year's the year that the Commanders do it.
The team that employs Cliff Kingsbury.
We'll see. And I understand that his offenses, traditionally start hot and then have a little bit of a dip. But I think that they have the right quarterback. I think that they're a team to watch to maybe trade for another receiver to complement Terry McLaurin. But in terms of the Ravens, I mean, Lamar played a really good game, 20-26, over 300 yards, added 40 on the ground. So they did what they needed to do to beat a good team. And now we're gonna, see what's their next stretch look like, Sonny.
Okay, I had it here. So we have Buccaneers.
Oh, that'll be a
Browns. So that's Monday night. This Monday night. Browns
or the Commanders.
The
Ravens.
Okay, yeah, Ravens.
Yeah, so Ravens have Buccaneers. Then we get the Browns. Then we get the Broncos here at home. Bengals, Steelers.
Okay, Buccaneers game would be one I'm intrigued to see because are they going to face like really good sound, protect the ball Baker, or are they going to play Brett Favre Baker? That's going to be the determination on this one.
Brett Favre Baker shows up against us.
Commanders next couple of games are the Panthers, Bears, Giants, and Steelers.
The Commanders have a soft schedule.
A lot of winnable games there.
Yeah, a lot of very soft schedule.
A lot of winnable games there for Washington.
Andy Dalton, dog. Hold on, it better not be primetime Andy Dalton either. Oh, okay. 4:00 game, Andy Dalton. I don't know. That sounds like a W to me.
Somehow the Cowboys are going to sneak into the playoffs like a 10-win. They're going to sneak into the division.
I don't know.
I did game by game.
Did you see Jerry Jones go off on that reporter?
Bro, a radio host, not even like a reporter. It's a radio host.
Jerry Jones is unstable. We've known this.
Yeah, that man is officially reached senile. But I said they weren't going to make the playoffs coming into this year, and I'm sticking with that.
Who knows? That might lead to what fixed WWE, getting the old man the fuck out of there.
Maybe Dallas should learn something. It's time for them to find their Paul Levesque. Who's the Paul Levesque of the Dallas Cowboys?
I don't know why they brought back Mike McCarthy, dog. I don't know how that was like. We got upset at home in the playoffs, and it's like, yeah, I'm keeping Mike McCarthy. Like, all right.
And they've given up 40 points at home in 2 games so far this year. It's not good.
Elite Dragon here says, reminder, Steelers could have drafted Purdy over Kenny.
Well, I mean,
and Jared, you brought up, remember just a few weeks ago, we were talking about Cowboys never lost at home in how many
Yeah. When they were like playing the Ravens.
They're like 16 and 15 and 0 in their last 15 regular season home games, and now I don't think they've won at home this year.
Nope.
So it has not been good for them at all.
That thing got cold quickly.
Yeah, in terms of the Purdy Kenny thing, I mean, 31 other teams could have taken Purdy too. He was literally one pick away from being undrafted.
Taking him 7 times.
Yeah,
7 times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So more than 7 because like some people had like 12 picks in that draft.
Tom picks and stuff in there.
Yep. Okay. Well, guys, that's the recap. We're gonna be here back Friday, reviewing all these games. We're gonna talk about the potential Russ starting, right? And then Watson.
No potential, bro. He's playing.
He's playing, buddy. The return of 3. Let's get it.
Remember
it. Praise for this year. I think they previewed it.
No, he just says the Steeler "Here we go" thing.
He goes, "Here we go."
And look, the bottom of the screen has a big AFC North matchup. So we'll see.
It's not a big AFC.
Oh man, come on, Q. We need to hype it up.
It's not a big AFC. It's like, hey, will the Browns go 1-7 or fix it up? Well, 1-6 or fix it and go 2-5.
Anyway, join us Friday for
I assume
that.
that's in the 1 o'clock window, right?
It is in the
Yeah,
1 o'clock
this
window.
is the crab in a bucket bowl. This is just to bring them down with us, baby. You not winning this division neither.
Anyway, come join us on Friday, and we will see y'all next time. Peace out.